Now, there's stupidity, there's utter retardation, there's feminist stupidity, and then there's Belgium. Consent classes for non-European migrants. Let's explore. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Freedom Alternative. Now, just when you thought you've seen it all, well, some new stupid shit comes up. Lauren Southern was just asking feminists on Twitter to point to feminist methods to stop further Köln type of attacks. Well, it seems that Belgium was actually listening. The article isn't really long, so I'll read it in its entirety. So, The Independent titles Belgium to launch Respect for Women classes for refugees and migrants. Minister for Immigration claims compulsory courses in relation with women will not stigmatize refugees. Belgium is to introduce compulsory courses on respect for women for non-European migrants and refugees. Amid mounting refugee rhetoric across the continent following an alleged mass sex attack in Germany on New Year's Eve, the coming weeks will see classes launched in asylum centers in Belgium following a precedent set by Norway in December. Of course the precedent had to be set by a Scandinavian kingdom. This is right out of the playbook of Scandinavian feminists. Anyway, quote, "They will consist of series of rules on how to behave with women in both a general and sexual sense in our Western culture," said the Minister for Immigration, Theo Franken, an MP for the Flemish Nationalist Party. Speaking to national Belgian broadcaster VRT, he said the move was absolutely necessary given the high number of single young men who arrive in Belgium and who come from a culture where relations with women are totally different to the West. He denied the lessons would stigmatize those seeking asylum. Although the announcement comes shortly after incidents of sexual assault in Cologne, Germany, Franken claimed the policy was unrelated. Regardless of the profile of the perpetrators, he said, "I would not tolerate that behavior here." Other Belgian MPs were quick to criticize the policy. On Thursday, Isabel Simonis from the left-wing Parti Socialiste denounced the move as thinly veiled racism. Now, I can't believe I'm in agreement with the chick from the Socialist Party, though I agree with her for entirely different reasons. I mean, she thinks it constitutes thinly veiled racism because it doesn't apply to everyone. Because, you see, in the Marxist feminist mind, all men are rapists and they need to be taught not to rape. I wish I were joking. However, I agree with her assessment for the simple reason that the former Western Bloc has been practicing the soft bigotry of low expectations for at least 20 years now, though some nations of the former Western Bloc, such as France or the United States, already have over 40 years of experience in state-sanctioned soft bigotry of low expectations under their belt. Now, having said that, the obvious problem with this policy is that it simply will not work. No matter how much the feminists would want you to believe otherwise, there is no such thing as educating a rapist out from being a rapist. The real world simply doesn't work that way. Firstly, most rapists know that rape is wrong. You know, they're rapists, not mentally retarded. They can hear the no, but they don't care. To believe that a rapist will cease to be a rapist just because some random bureaucrat tells him or her, although it seems that in the Flemish Nationalist Party's mind, female rapists don't exist. Anyway, to believe that just because a bureaucrat tells a rapist not to rape, that will solve the issue, is to engage in magical thinking. I mean, it's astonishing how many so-called atheists are actually willing to suspend disbelief and engage in such atrocious magical thinking. Secondly, whilst it is true that non-European migrants have a much higher rate of perpetration of sexual crimes than intra-European migrants or the natives, it is not true that most non-European migrants are rapists or sex offenders in general. Let's run the numbers and prove mathematically why this policy is inefficient even if we were to agree that it may work. So, some statistic whose reliability I sincerely doubt said that half of all sexual offenses in Belgium are committed by North African or Arab young men. I don't know how true that is, but for the sake of the argument, let's assume it is entirely true. The newest numbers I was able to find were from 2011, where 4,038 rapes were reported, of which 87% of the victims were women. Now, let's grant this one to the feminists too and say that 100% of the victims were female. Let's also multiply the numbers by 3 in accordance to the Belgian feminist doctrine that only a third of rapes are being reported. So that makes it 12,114. Now let's assume one victim, one case, which would further boost the feminist argument. Now we also need another variable. How many non-European migrants? Well, in 2012, it seemed that almost half of migrants were non-European. That would be 1.2 million people. So if half the rapes, i.e. 6,057, are committed by young North African or Arab men, and non-Europeans as a whole are 1.2 million, then the most charitable way possible is to say that the suspects for the 6,057 are amongst 200,000 men. I reached the 200K number by dividing the 1.2 million to 4, because, half of them are women and half of the men are old or very young, and then subtracted another 100K to account for other non-Europeans, such as Chinese, Kazakhs, Americans, and so on. So, I think I'm being very charitable in here. If we're taking this number at face value, it would mean that 1 in 33 North African or Arab young men is likely to commit rape. Now, according to CIA Factbook, there are 624,486 men between 15 and 24 in Belgium. If we apply the same calculus, namely to divide their total number to the total number of rapes as we calculated according to the feminist doctrine, we get 1 in 51. So we've proven that immigrants have a higher rate, and we also proven that most of them still are not rapists. Okay, but recent immigrants are worse, some would say. But are they? I mean, worse than the terrorists in Molenbeek? That's an unprovable assertion, and given what security measures Belgium already has in place, some of them bordering a totalitarian police state, but that's another topic, it is quite an extraordinary claim to say that they're a lot worse than what the numbers already show. So if 1 in 33 is likely to rape, this means spending a lot of resources in the hope that you might convince every other 33 male migrant not to rape, whilst lumping the other 32 into rapist monsters when they clearly are not. Even if you discount the allegations of racism, this is an emphatically inefficient way to tackle the issue, even if you believe that consent classes work. And here comes the third and final argument, which is a continuation of the first actually. These classes don't work. And I'd say that not only that they don't work because rapists already know that rape is wrong, and they don't care if a bureaucrat tells them again that it's wrong, but they also don't work because they simply address to a different kind of culture. Now, unlike others, I don't believe that the Middle East is a large rape culture. In fact, except Democratic Republic of Congo, Zimbabwe, Pakistan, and North Korea, it is really hard to make the case that others are a rape culture. And Pakistan is a rape culture of boys, not girls or women. Just Google Bakabazi and read more. Having said that, the notion of sexual harassment is very, very different even within Europe, let alone in non-European cultures. In France, for instance, you can go to jail because you looked the wrong way at a woman and she felt threatened. No evidence is needed, her word is enough to establish guilt. And no, I am not joking. Similar legislation, although slightly less draconic, exists in Belgium as well. Now, you will excuse the non-European migrants for not subscribing to such stupidity. Where I'm going with this is that these classes will most likely teach the wrong things in the wrong way to the wrong people and end up wasting a lot of resources in the process without actually achieving anything. You don't have to believe me, you can research yourself the astounding failures of feminist-inspired consent classes anywhere on the planet. Heck, the chief of such a course turned out to be a rapist herself. And that pretty much tells you everything you need to know about the efficiency of such classes. And that's all I had to say. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you around on Freedom Alternative.